Again, my story starts with something I saw on social media. I mean, where else? So this man said something like, oh, after he got married, he's just experiencing bad luck and he thinks his wife is bad luck because he got sacked from work, something like that. And I'm like, okay, here goes that silly mindset again, that it can be someone that will bring you bad luck. But perhaps the backstory we don't know is, do you show up at work when you're supposed to show up? Are you dependable at work? Or have they been giving you query and you did not adjust and now they've sacked you, you're attributing it to some poor woman? Which leads me to the topic for today. Is it bad luck or you are just not self-accountable? How do people that are not self-accountable, how do they behave? These are the signs. So let's get into it. Number one, they would blame every other person, every other thing for every situation in their lives. It is always the government. It is one uncle somewhere that refused to collect their CV and give them a job. You know, they couldn't go to work today, or they couldn't go learn that skill today because it's a rainy day. I mean, they can just lay down in bed. It is always something that is a reason for them not being where they believe they deserve to be. They have something to blame. There's always something to blame, someone to blame. Maybe their parents. I mean, like some people would say, why didn't their parents join their peers, or why aren't they rich like them? You're also an adult. Why don't you become better than your parents if you think it's as easy as that? Because as long as you're an adult, your life is your responsibility. So who are you waiting for to come and fix it for you? Anyways, the point is, this kind of persons will probably say things like, aside saying it's other people's fault, they will also blame things like luck, forgetting to sit down and evaluate their own behaviors that is making their life and the outcomes of their life turn out as it is turning out. Number two, they continue behaviors and habits that keeps them in the same place, and they are unable to see how those habits are a problem to them. Habits like laziness, procrastination, nonchalance, and a lack of preparation. Now let's unpack this. A nonchalant person doesn't see the need to really take responsibility for things. They're just basically those that live life on autopilot. You know, they're not taking responsibility to say that I need to do better. They're not even thinking it. They're just living pretty much anyhow. Procrastinators always say they will do it tomorrow. There's a next moment available for them to do something they could do now. Again, we are all human. We may put off some tasks for later, as long as that is not your core habit, what you're known to do, what has become your pattern. If that's not it, then you're fine. But for those who procrastinate, it's always the next moment. Lack of preparation. You know there is a skill you ought to get, you ought to have to get that job, or to become more qualified for a certain field you want to get into, a career path you want to get into, or someone you want to work with. But yet, you have refused to acquire that skill. And when the opportunity does come and presents itself to you, you're not prepared. You're not fit for that role. And so you will still blame other things than sit down and take account of your own actions and how it has led to the outcomes that you are seeing. Number three, this is common. We all experience it with family, with friends, people who feel entitled. A friend borrows money from you, or a person is in the habit of borrowing money from a whole lot of people, and they would refuse to pay back, or pay back with ease, the same ease with which they collected the money. Now they are now famous for this kind of behavior, and people are no longer willing to even help them. Isn't that an action of theirs leading to a negative outcome? A person would feel entitled to your money. Sometimes we experience this with relatives. It's like, you're working, it's our right to get whatever it is you have. Sometimes it's in the way they would demand these things. Sometimes it's in the lack of appreciation. If it were so easy, why don't you as an adult go make yours? so that you're not feeling entitled to another person's money, their earnings, what they've worked for. In fact, there are some ridiculous stories. You just can't believe it if you were to listen to it from relatives. They go as far as saying things like, what you're even giving them, is it adequate? Is it enough? So it's a whole lot. Entitled people do not sit to reflect on themselves. They are just living outwardly, thinking that it's their right to get what every other person has without working for theirs. And it's often people who truly work for theirs that understand the value of work and the value of earning a living. Number 4, which points back to the initial story, the belief that someone is bringing you good or bad luck being the reason why your life is turning out a certain way. For some, it's a partner. If your mind is in the right place, you will take the right actions. But if your mind thinks in ways that are not appropriate, if I'll put it that way, or just not logical, or not sensible, or not reasonable, you will take the wrong actions and you will believe the wrong things. Same with those who believe just have more kids, it is children that will bring blessings. It is, I say this in a couple of other videos. You are in poverty and you are there believing that it is by bringing more children into the world that your life is going to turn around. There's no way God gave you your senses to be thinking like this. People who lack self-accountability starkly refuse to change. It doesn't matter how you sit them down to make them see how their actions continue to lead to certain outcomes, they would not listen. They are just either completely unable to see how their actions lead to all these outcomes, or they can't be bothered, or sometimes you just wish you can get into some people's brains and understand the chemistry going on in there and why they think and behave the way they do sometimes. Anyways, as an individual, you have to also learn to stay away from certain people with certain kinds of mindsets, because they are going to use their own funny ways of living. It will rub off on you, mess up your own life as well, in one way or the other. It just does. So learn to be someone by your own self who tells yourself, I need to be accountable. I personally try to know when it's something I've done that has led to a certain outcome. There's no blaming anybody else. Miriam, this was your fault, it's your fault. You didn't do this right. Accept it, and moving forward, you should know you have to do better. We will complicate our lives less when we are more accountable to ourselves first, before we even wait for somebody else to call us out on these things. Be accountable to yourself first. Thank you for watching this episode of The 5 with Miriam. Subscribe to this YouTube channel and please follow The Moral Code on social media platforms. Thanks for watching and see you next time.